He moves on then to pursue this issue regarding identical brain states.
Yeah.
He says, here's a reason to think that brain states aren't the only things that matter for well-being, right? So Harris is suggesting brain states is the deal, right? Because we can measure those, right?
A 7 on your non-pleasure scale, or I don't know how you would measure it, parts per million. Some EKG probably. There's big spikes in your pleasure centers. However it's done, I'm sure it's done. So
what he does here to show it, he says that we can have two identical brain states, and he asked us to do a thought experiment about brain in a vat, right? That's what he does, right? He says, imagine a scenario in which there are two identically happy brain states. These are exactly two brain states that are exactly alike. They're identical. But the first one is a brain in a vat hooked up to a vast computer that can stimulate the proper neurons produced that will produce happiness, right? So there you are. This is a brain. It's in a vat. It's hooked up, and it can cause these brain states to be activated, right? So there's the first one. The other one, the second one, an identical brain state belongs to a person who is actually living the blissful life you imagine. And so he asked, which one would you prefer to be, right?
Depends on who's poking my brain, I guess.
But probably not the brain in the vat.
Most likely not. And we do see this. There's studies on people who kind of have these like waking state nightmares where they kind of feel a presence in the room, and a lot of theory is that like alien abduction phenomenon is tied to that type of waking state feeling where your brain is not quite awake, but you're still in kind of that REM-y weird sleep. And it's able to be reproduced by scientists in labs by stimulating parts of the brain. But which one's having the worst experience?
Right.
Well, is it the person who can't wake themselves up and is feeling that presence and feeling like they're being violated or taken, or there's that evil, malicious presence? Or is it the person who's sitting comfortably in the chair knowing that the scientists are doing this? I mean, they might not physically know this. They might be running through experiments, but they know that they're in a controlled environment, that something's probably happening. So which one would you rather be? The same spikes in that recess of your brain, but you probably would rather be on the one that can hit the button to say get me out of there.
Right. Yeah. And so he says, if brain states are all there is to well-being, then of course Harris would have to say that the brain in the vat plus the real person, they have equal well-being, and therefore whatever's going on is they're flourishing equally. Of course, Mitch here wants to suggest that this seems to be a wrong answer. So even if morality is only a well-being, it seems doubtful that well-being is just simply a matter of brain states, that it needs to be, you got to be more than just brain states.
It needs to be more, right? Yeah. And then we go on to say well-being is usually cashed out in terms of the greatest good for the greatest number of people.
And that's the consequentialist, the utilitarian type of ethic.
Right.
Yeah.
It's better to pull the trolley handle and kill one person or three. Well, probably, you can kind of do what you want, but it seems more likely that you want to save 3 over 1 just because people are people.
That's right. Numbers count.
Right. Yes. But no one has ever experienced this collective happiness, and this is a great point that we that should be discussed, and it's great that Dr. Stokes identifies it, because this is kind of also too where our current society is going, and it depends on how one determines through their worldview what it means to think individually and collectively. So Harris' brain state view trucks in the happiness or well-being that is experienced by humans, but no one experiences more than a single brain state, namely his or her own. Right? We're both watching a baseball game. The Yankees hit a home run. For me, I'm elated, but you're a Tigers fan, and you see them lose 102 games in a season or whatever it might be. We're both experiencing different. The same thing, but we're experiencing different types of pleasure or lack thereof. So, of course, other people's well-being may contribute to yours, but that is a different issue, and one of what causes an individual's brain state. The maximum pleasure ever experienced by anyone is still that of a sole individual brain state, a collective or adaptive happiness or well-being is something that no one experiences. It doesn't exist. So you can put yourself into other people's shoes. You can want to think globally, locally, universally, as a country person, but only you are able to, there are people who think of patriotism. There are people that are like, yes, I enjoy living in America for the freedoms. And then there's the people that flag everything on the 4th of July and go around, saluting each other. Are they experiencing the same type of well-being for what they view as a moral good? Or, are there, can we determine whether or not that they don't think collectively.
Right.
They think only
So
locally.
only you can only have one set of brain states. A person can only have their set of brain states. So there's really no such thing as a collective, well-being. That doesn't exist because you can only experience one at a time.
Right.
Is the point that he's trying to make here, right? Yeah. The maximum pleasure ever experienced by anyone is still that of a sole individual's brain state. A collective or additive happiness or well-being is something that no one experiences. We just don't experience that.